Yeah,
Look at this thing.
yeah. Too up, too down.
Look at this
Hey,
thing. Got
yeah.
money.
Yeah, I wanted the crown and to be celebrated. I rented a tux and I ordered a mink. Stood in the mirror like mama, I made it. Proceeded to brushing the teeth in the sink. Caught me a grill and I'm so melanated. I polished the chain, I ain't gold in the link. And I got me a baby who gave me some babies. I'm raising a lady and building a king. Too cold, you too busy running with another man lane, I guess. Yeah, too bold. I be running on the one way, never change my set like, I don't ever use my signals, yeah. I be in the lane myself, yeah. I don't gotta change my mental, yeah. And I ain't gotta chase my wealth, and I accept my daddy got a kingdom, and everything I ever got is his. If I ever got a problem, I'ma seek him. I never doubt him, been about his biz, oh man, been at. I ain't gotta ride on the wave when the ocean is his. Close with the kid with a
What's good, baby? It's your boy Dale. I'm back in the saddle again. Our motto is to buy, build. We already bought it already, so we already own it, free and clear. Refinance to long-term debt, cash flow. That is the motto. Cliff, man, is that a pretty strong motto, man? What do you think?
Man, the model is strong. Like, you're getting each piece of the invest, right?
What it do, baby? It's your partner Dale and Cliff back in the saddle again for another edition of the Real Estate Friday live, guys, at 5 p.m. Cliff, what's going on, baby? How you doing, big time?
Man, I'm doing all right. Doing all right. How you doing, man?
Man, doing all right, man. It's been a very eventful but good week, man. Did we get the bag, big dog?
Oh yeah, you know we get the bag.
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir, man. This has been a very eventful week in the economic space and the real estate space. Would you agree,
Right,
Cliff?
right. Oh yeah, man. They had a lot of stuff going on this week. We had a market crash going on.
Oh,
Major pullback in the market. We got
oh,
everybody calling for the Fed to cut. And we got a lot of things
oh.
going on right now.
A lot of things going on, man. But for those that have access to Wide's counsel, also, guys, you are prepared for such a time as this, guys. So we're gonna dive into this thing, man. You know how we do it every single week, man. Cliff, brother, as a licensed appraiser, what you seeing in the market, big dad? What's going on in the current market analysis, big dog?
Man, so the market, it's I think it's the same as it's been last couple of weeks. It's
Mm-hmm.
stagnating. I think everybody's waiting for the rate cuts. Now, we did see the interest rates come down a little bit. So they
Good.
cut about quarter point already. The mortgage companies
Already.
are because they already know it's coming. So I think they
Mm-hmm.
were willing to price it a little bit lower. I think we're going to start seeing some people come back into the marketplace. It's got to go up. The amount of sales we're seeing right now are 40-year lows. So
Mm.
we got to see some transaction volume pick up. Hopefully, it's when they start cutting their interest rates.
Now, why do you think it's going to go up? What's going to cause it to go up? What actions are going to cause that?
It's most likely going to be the cuts. You get lower interest rates, houses
Uh-huh.
become more affordable.
So okay. So what type of cut are you anticipating this to come from the Fed? What type of cut?
Oh, they're gonna do a quarter point. They already
So
said that
so why would a quarter point invoke that type of action in the market?
because it's not gonna be it's the direction that the Fed is heading. We know that's not
Okay.
gonna be the last one. We know they're
Okay.
gonna just cut 0.25 and call it. They raised it 2.5 basis points. So you normally you get at least a 50% pullback. That would be probably about 1.25.
Okay. So where is the money going to come from the consumer to be able to drive these sales? Because we have record amount of debt, credit card debt owed. Record amount of savings, money in savings that is very low. You also actually have people's wages not outpacing inflation. So where is the money going to come from to spur this type of uptick?
Well, I mean, you also have all-time equity in homes. So you probably have, I think it's almost 15 to 20 trillion dollars in equity that you have
Sure.
trapped in single family homes. So that's why you're coming out with second lien, HELOCs. They're coming out more and more because basically in the last 2 years, it's almost doubled. in terms of value. If at at a minimum, it's probably up at least 50-60%. I know that.
Okay.
And so when you do that across every home in America, you got a lot of equity.
So what you're saying is people are going to most likely tap into the equity via seconds, correct? Second liens, correct?
Or selling their property, either one.
Or selling their property. So they'll sell it and graduate up to now. Will they sell it and go rent, or sell it and go buy another property at a high interest rate?
They'll have to go into a higher interest rate.
So if they have record low savings, right, record high credit card debt, their income is not outpacing inflation, how can they afford a higher payment with taxes and insurance and also HOA and PMI potentially?
Well, but okay, you also have to remember that there's low volume on the market right now. So there doesn't have to be a lot of demand in order for the inventory to go up. You see what I'm saying? Because the more basically what you're saying is that people are record high credit card debt,
Okay.
their income is low. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying is that then they can sell their property, which has equity, which you're seeing
Mhm.
across everybody, across the United States, everybody has equity in it.
Okay. Okay. So mhm.
What that's
Go
going
ahead.
to do is that's going to cause more demand, right?
Okay. Okay.
So this
Okay.
is why they can be able to sell it.
So
Now,
what
the
you
interest rate is still going to be higher than what they probably had normally because the last 10 years, interest rates have been low.
so it sounds like what I'm hearing you say is the enticement of a cash windfall potentially. It's what's going to entice them to graduate up from a 2 or 3% interest rate up to a 7-8% interest rate, right?
No, it won't be 7. That's what I'm saying. So you'll end up being closer to like a 5.75.
5.75. So therefore, they will have to buy that rate down, correct?
But that's the standard. That's right. You don't have to buy it down necessarily. What I'm talking about is the end of the cut cycle will end up being probably around 5.75 being the average mortgage. But everybody understands the market that we're in right now. So that's why you see when you actually do see home sales, you're seeing that new construction is dominating. They're like 70% of the market. The reason why
Sure,
is because they can do buy downs. They own
they
their
can.
equity.
Correct.
That's becoming a standard now because we're in this situation where everybody's got tons of equity
Yeah.
and interest rates are slightly high. So you
Okay.
negotiate, bring the price down a little bit. I'm seeing
Yeah.
that too in terms of
Yeah.
concessions. I'm seeing on average around 10. I see. I say maybe about 7,000 up to about 15,000 on the high
Okay.
end. I'm
Okay.
saying that standard to be able. So that probably can buy you down at least 1, if not 2%.
So what you're saying is a seller is going to potentially credit a buyer some sort of capital on the HUD to buy down their rate to entice them to buy from them at a high interest rate, which means that taps into the seller's pocket, so they take home less money at the close. Then they're going to graduate over to a newer property, put down a down payment, whatever it may be, pay a high interest rate, or buy down that rate with additional cash. So therefore, to do that transaction, they've probably lost probably 5 to 10% of profit because because on a new property they got to pay closing
You,
costs,
you,
origination
you
fees.
think it that way. You think it like profit. The average person is not thinking like, oh, I'm losing 5-10%. They're not thinking like that. They think I want that new nice home.
At a higher interest rate and I have to pay more money to buy it down.
Or you could stay in a home you don't like, that you're in a situation you don't want to be in. And that's what's causing most of the sales happening now because people have to sell,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
The people that want to sell can sell if the environment was right. I mean, this was on a Squawk Box with one of the CEOs of a mortgage company, and he said the
Sure.
same thing that if you get sub 6 interest rates, you're gonna see the market come back in a strong way. I mean, you have tons of demand that's already on the sidelines. I mean, you could already see it's pent up demand. So they're just looking
Mhm.
for a reason.
Okay. And what you're saying is based on what you're saying is that 1/4% basis point down is going to drive that demand.
No, I'm saying that's the start of the cycle. It'll start. You'll see it open up a little bit, and then as they keep cutting, you'll see more people into the market.
So what additional actions needs to happen for the Fed to continue to cut? Because then the partnership with the federal government and the government ain't gonna stop printing.
They don't just they just need to see the same. Nothing has to change. As long if they got the exact same print for the next 3 months, they would cut all 3 months.
Now you know, Cliff, that's not what the government does. That is not what they do
No, I
at
meant
all.
no, I'm saying if the inflation rates, which have been falling, inflation rates are falling, right? So if they kept falling at the same rate they have been for I think 9 straight months of
Okay,
reduced inflation, if you
okay.
even take half that for the next 3 months, the Fed's fine. Like we're not going to hit 2%. It's probably gonna be closer to like 2.8, something like that, that they're going to end up cutting to.
Man, you have a lot of hope in this system, brother. A lot of hope in this system because there's some disciplines that both partners are not doing. They're not doing. I think that the rates are going to be between the 5.75 up
Mhm.
to about 7-8%. It's gonna be there for a long period of time. I think that the Fed may cut it a quarter point and then don't do nothing else at all because they want to see how the market is going to respond as well. I believe the market is not going to respond as strong to what people are assuming at all. I think people want to see how the election goes as well. Also, what may drive more actions is if the U.S. after the election becomes more energy independent because that can definitely affect the interest rate because of the fact that we are importing more oil or natural gas than we are exporting. And if you change that around and you drill baby drill, you can then begin to, because of course fossil fuels is what we kind of rest on as far as the foundation. As you begin to tap into that big asset called fossil fuels, I can see that having some type of net positive effect that can drive some type of growth. But if that's not the case moving forward, we in some trouble.
Yeah, we're gonna see. We're gonna see. It's a different environment. It's nothing we never seen like this, where you got high interest
Man.
rate, high inflation. Man, it's gonna come down. We're gonna normalize. I promise you, we're gonna normalize.
Okay. We would. Now, Cliff, we saw what happened on Friday when it crashed, and on Monday it got worse. We kind of rebounded a little bit on Tuesday, but that Friday and Monday, we're talking about in the US and Japan.
Yeah.
Japan got destroyed, and Japan is the second is the country that actually buys they're second to China when it comes to buying our debt. So if Japan is struggling, you know we're struggling because they ain't buying no more damn debt as well. So man, what are your thought process man when it came to the crash on Friday and Monday?
Man, that's going into a whole another like that's talking like forex and exchange rates, and what's
Mm,
going on with the yen because
mm,
they manipulate their money like we do. Sometimes
yeah,
even worse.
yeah,
Um, they have all kind of rules and stuff. So basically, they're people were basically you could borrow in the Japanese yen and get a
yes,
better yield. So a lot of investors were saying, "Cool, I'll convert my dollars to yen. I'll hold it there where I can get a better yield." And when they see the Japanese yen falling, then
yeah,
they switched out of it, which caused the yen to crash
yes, yes,
because the yen was still doing quantitative easing. That's
yes, they
why
were
they could still get better yield. You know what I'm saying? Basically, they borrowing over there, taking that money and using it in the U.S. because they get cheap interest rates. Basically,
correct. Because in Japan they were actually borrowing at negative interest rates, negative. And what they were doing is they were taking that yen, converted it over into dollars because where they were getting a 4 or 5% return because of what the Fed is actually paying right now. So they're making money. Well, you can only play that game for a certain amount of time frame. Now they're actually in positive. The yen's in positive now interest rates now, and that yield curve has gotten a lot smaller now itself. And so there was a big crash in Japan. So that's something. Now, Cliff, do you believe because of what we saw here on Friday and Monday again, and also Tuesday, are we in? Is a recession coming, or is it already here?
I don't think we have a recession. I don't think
Really?
it's going to be based on the jobs. Um,
But the job report has
nah,
been trash, though.
yeah, it's slowing, but yeah, the hiring is slowing. But um, I think it's gonna be low. I don't see us hitting a crash necessarily, Man, usually they would have to have a driver. What would be driving that crash? What would be the reason
Okay.
why you'd have? Why would companies not expand right now? And why would you pull your money out the stock market right now?
Well, a lot of companies are doing buyback stuff because of the fact that they must rather invest into their own companies because the cost of debt is too damn high. You actually had Warren Buffett, right, and Jamie Dimon, but Warren Buffett just sell half of his shares in Apple, half of his shares in Bank of America. He's sitting on $100 million in cash. What do they know? Jamie Dimon did the same thing, not to that extent, for JP Morgan Chase. What do they know that we don't know for them to do this unprecedented actions themselves? So that's why I asked the question, is a recession coming or is it here because the top 1% is they're doing something different than what everybody else is doing?
Yeah, I mean they can go to cash because they can turn it to them. Cash is a better asset because they like the transactions. They can buy a new
Mhm.
business. They're
On sale.
like it's the same as like flipping a house. I mean, you could put your money to work in the stock market, may get 3 or 4%, or you keep it all cash and wait for that good flip, and you're gonna get 25, 30% return on that. So it's either a transactional type way of making money, or you could just put in the market, let it work.
I got you, but I'm saying this here is I've never seen Buffett do this. Never seen him do it. Yes, he's doing it to to go out and buy assets, but he's an investor. He's going to buy stuff on
Yeah.
sale. What's going to drive it to be on sale? A recession, because things go down in value. He can buy it for pennies on a dollar. So he would have to
What?
be cash rich, right?
Yeah. So what do you think is going to drive the recession? What's going to cause it?
I would say too many companies borrowing too much debt at a high interest rate. You saw that actually happen with a lot of companies. They actually borrowed a lot of debt at high interest rate, at low interest rates, right? Planning for the company to rebound up. It never did. And now what actually happened is a lot of them are closing the doors. You're actually having job supports being revised up to 50% of what they shown us. And I'm like, wait a minute, what is going on? And then you're seeing Buffett and Diamond make these actions. The only way that happens is because all they hear is sale, 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 because they're going to buy a lot of companies on sale because of either a recession is here or it is coming.
Maybe. Maybe. I don't see a recession. I mean, I see it getting worse, but I don't necessarily see a
Mm,
recession. I don't know if we're gonna have that big of a pullback. Um, but like you said,
really?
I mean, it depends what the next step is. If we cut, cool, okay, that's gonna get some money. It's transactional, right? We need transactions.
Sure.
That's where a lot of people make their money. It's not necessarily in the service, it's in the transactions, right? Um,
Hmm.
so we got to get volume up. We got to get money flowing again. It's tight. It's tight because to me, to put it this way, Dale, if you could buy a home and interest rates were 4%,
Yeah.
4.5%,
Yeah.
if they dropped to that today, would you think we would see the economy pick up?
Of course, because the cost of capital is cheaper.
Right. And that's my point is the cost of capital is going to get cheaper over the next 6 months
How?
because they're cutting because the interest rates are going down. The money is cheaper. So the cost to
So
borrow is lower, so more money is going to enter the economy.
So what I'm hearing you say is with this initial move that the Fed is going to do when it comes to cutting rates, which is a quarter of basis point, which is 0.25%, guys. You're saying that this is going to continue?
Them cutting, yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Why
yeah.
would they
So
do that?
because they have to. You have
Why?
they have multiple different pressure points, right? So you have number one, you have banks which are already we saw multiple banks fail that we haven't seen since 2008
Yes.
because they're holding bonds on their books that are underwater, right?
Yeah.
They're insolvent. That's not them. There are many others, right?
Yes.
They had to go to the
Yes.
discount window in order to save themselves. So the interest
Yes.
rates have to drop for the value of those bonds to go up so they're no longer underwater. So that's one. Number two, the interest we're paying on the debt is growing more and more. The United States needs to drop that just to be able to create $100 billion of wiggle room. We're paying
Yep.
100. We're probably paying an excess, maybe even 200 billion in excess every year just for the interest rates.
Yeah.
So we need to cut just to save us $200 billion a year. So that's number two. Number three is it's businesses as well. If you're going to acquire another business, you use debt. Why would you do so when interest rates are at 7-8%? And I both know they will be lower in the future. So that's going to spur more spending.
So it seems like this is where you and I kind of disagree here, guys. And then we're going to hear a former executive for the Dallas Federal Reserve talk about this as well also. And her perspective is so key, guys. And I want you to listen to what she says. And me and Cliff will respond. But here's what I see, Cliff, with what you just said, is you are saying that in order for banks to begin to continue to lend more money, they have to cut the rates, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
No choice.
They have no choice. But here's the big thing about it. There's actually another way they can get that accomplished and do no cutting at all. It's called modern monetary theory. They just inflected that away, which I think that's their play. Not based on what I said, based on what the current chief economist of the United States actually said. They're operating by modern monetary theory. They can inflate the debt away. They can inflate it away. The cutting of the rates is to try to control the mentality of the consumer. Because if the consumer gets scared, there'll be a bank run on their money, and then they're really in trouble. So they're having to kind of gauge a little bit, see this as well at all, because they understand the Fed cannot control what the federal government does. They cannot control it at all. Chairman Powell actually came out and said that they're going to continue to print massive amount of money because they're operating by modern monetary theory. They're trying to inflate the debt away. They're going to continue lending money out. They are, but they're going to inflate it away.
They're going to inflate it away.
They have to. So that's why I'm saying the cutting itself is to give people hope that they're going to do something. What I'm saying is you may see one cut. That's it. One cut. No. You think it's gonna be more than one cut?
I bet on it.
How do you bet on it?
Let's throw something down on it. I promise you. They're gonna cut more than once.
Okay, how many times are they gonna cut?
Once. Mm-hmm. More than one.
You know, more than one. So how many cuts? How many cuts are they gonna have? How many cuts?
I'm guessing. If I had to guess, I would say 3. Most likely 3
cuts. How many per cut?
Oh, it's hard to say. I think it's gonna probably combine 0.75 to 1.
1 point?
Yeah, over 3 cuts.
Woo!
So 0.2. So you have 3 cuts: 0.25, 0.25, 0.5.
You know what? You know what? If the government begins to become more and more energy independent on oil and natural gas, I can see that because that justifies the 1 point. You may even see 1.5 because it justifies that. Because they can send those inflated dollars across the seas, man. It's just man. Woo! It's gonna be. But let's go ahead, Cliff.
Oh, now, and I wanted to show you today. So right now, it looks like the interest rate on I'm looking it up now, is 6.6% on an FHA.
Yep.
APR is high, like 7.5 on APR.
Yeah.
Now, if you buy down the rate 2 points, you get to a 5.75. Now,
where's the money coming from consumers to buy down the rate? Who's paying that?
Oh, that's coming most likely from the negotiations. Everybody's aware. Like when I'm seeing concessions, I'm looking at these reports on a daily basis.
Gotcha.
Everybody knows it. Your realtor is going to come to you and say, if you want to sell your house for the top of the market, you're most likely going to have to pay down someone else's rate for them to be able to afford that house because it opens up more buyers.
I agree.
So you just throw it up for
concessions.
Yeah, you throw it up for sale, maybe 10,000 more than you think, because you know that they'll come back to you and say, "Hey," you're like, "Cool, I'll eat 10 grand because I already pumped it up."
We're gonna see how this goes because I believe the plaintiffs inflicted it away.
Oh, they
That's
have
the
to.
plan.
I'm not
That's the
going to pay
plan.
it down. You know what
Hell
I'm saying? We ain't
Hell
paying it
no.
down. Nah.
Hell no. Hell no. Not at all. At all. Now, let's see exactly what her name, guys, is. Lord, you're gonna see her come up, guys. She's going to talk about this and get what she says. She's a former. She works for the Dallas Federal Reserve, right? And she was up there, top. Let's see what she says about what's going on. Here we go.
So do you think all hell is going to break loose?
Something is definitely gonna give, and I get the sense that something's going to give in the next few months, and then all hell breaks loose. This is United States of America in recession. Everybody's getting fired across all industries.
Wow.
And it's happening really fast. Americans are working as much as they can, but Americans don't have enough work to make ends meet. There's a lot of unrest. It's no longer possible to gaslight the United States populace. They know something is wrong. When I hear from the head of a food bank in Tampa, Florida, that he's gone from 20,000 to 40,000 families per month, and that from the moment the doors open until the moment the doors close, from dawn to dusk, that there are people lining up to get food to feed their families, something has gone wrong. But nobody's ever gotten this information out of me, by the way. So hats off to you, buddy.
Wow, man.
Danielle DiMartino Booth was an insider of the Federal Reserve for 9 years during the global financial crisis.
Wow.
This is during a time when more than 15 million Americans were unemployed and almost 4 million households lost their home due to foreclosure. Now, when Danielle left the Federal Reserve, she wrote a book about her experience titled Fed Up, an insider's take on why the Federal Reserve is bad for America. You're about to hear Danielle talk about where she believes the U.S. economy is headed as she shares with me things that she has not publicly discussed with anyone else to date. Danielle is educated, experienced, and...
So, Cliff, while he's going through this introduction, her initial comments, man, what do you think about her initial comments?
Yeah, she's looking at the unemployment rate. And that's what I'm saying is that the Fed has put themselves in a position to where if the unemployment rate continues, you're going to get more cuts to offset that. Money will get cheaper to offset the less money in the system, or at least the less transactions in the system.
Gotcha. Let's see what she says about this, because she goes into the housing section real quickly, guys, up front, and then me and Cliff will comment from there. Here we go.
I'm just happy so much has changed in real estate since we last spoke. Like, the country's like now in a state of, you don't have to convince anybody anymore. Well, I mean, except for realtors, right? Because they're always going to be in denial.
Hey, you're exactly right. And I think some of my audience too, because now that it's really starting to show up, I think a lot of the sellers are in denial. So we're, a lot to unpack today. I'm excited. But what I really like best about talking with you, Danielle, is, first, I always listen to what you have to say, because a lot of forecasters, economists, they toot their own horn about what they believe will happen with the U.S. economy. However, many don't have the insider knowledge like you do. And from working as an advisor to Richard Fisher, who was the 12th president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, that was through the GFC. So,
I was there for 9 years, and if there's a hallmark of any and every real estate mania, and you can ascribe whatever driver you want. Okay, so it was a global pandemic, but it manifested as bidding wars, right? And the bidding wars got crazy. They really, really did. So again, I'm not saying that the fact that it was a global pandemic and people were moving out of city centers and flocking to where I am in Austin or Boise, Idaho, whatever was the case, when you have bidding wars go wild, you cannot have some national entity called the National Association of Realtors come in and say, well, we had all these cash sales. It's just because people are just so wealthy. That doesn't work that way. Speculative manias always are backed by leverage of some kind. It's just taking us a little bit longer this time around to figure out where that leverage lies. But it's there. It's getting exposed. And we have now kind of two classes of sellers. We have the sellers who are in absolute denial. Their realtors are still lying to them. And we have sellers who are in a white hot panic mode because their financing has dried up. So they can no longer run the Ponzi schemes that allowed them to become overnight real estate moguls on TikTok.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. You hit the nail on the head because.
So, Cliff, what do you think about what you said about that concerning the market?
Man, I see what she's saying. I mean, like I said, I still think it comes down to the unemployment, how that's going to be viewed. What do you think?
Well, I think the unemployment rate has been manipulated so much. When I see unprecedented revisions, 50+% on rates, on unemployment rates, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense at all. 50%, 10, okay, 20, all right, 50% over and over and over again. And then I'm also seeing that the majority of the jobs are part-time jobs, not full-time jobs. And the majority of the workers that are getting these part-time jobs are foreign-born workers, not American workers. That's a problem. That's why when she says something is going to break in a couple months, and it's going to be all hands on deck. She ain't lying. Because I believe me, there's some lying going on. A lot of it from the federal government. You agree or disagree?
Oh yeah, they always manipulate the numbers. Yeah, you got to know that going into it. Like they going, because if you're going to tell me my job is based on the information I provide, I'm gonna provide the information that's going to allow me to keep my job.
Correct.
I mean?
Yeah, never lied at all, man. Let's keep going, guys. She's almost done on the real estate side. Here we go.
Because what I see is when you look at the agent that's presenting an offer to the seller, you can look back, or you can look at their offer first and see, that it's still in many cases crazy high where they don't need to be. And, when you look back at their amount of transactions that they've done in the last year, you're lucky to find one. And so what's happening is a lot of these agents that have not produced and they don't know that the tide is shifting, they're still from that mindset, oh, the house hits the market. If you want the house, you need to overpay for the house. And that's why we've been beating the drum that people really need to pump the brakes and make sure that they're hiring an agent that, tells them what's really happening on the street, because it's changed. But the question is, when you and I spoke before, we talked about a lot of these things. We spoke about how auto loans were in default, how mortgage forbearance is like we've never seen before. 4 years now of mortgage help and forbearance.
I mean, forbearance didn't end on the FHA level until November of 2023. I mean, we're just now seeing. People are always like, "Where's the recession?" And I'm like, "How do you have a recession when you gave away?" Upwards of $1.5 trillion in PPP, most of which was fraudulent, employee retention credit, most of which was fraudulent, and EIDL loans, a lot of which was fraudulent. How do you have, and nobody's getting thrown out of their homes. So rental eviction moratorium, like people are like, where was that recession that you were calling from? And I really have to push back, because mathematically I was like, impossible for us to go into recession until they pull the plug. They pulled the plug last September. It looks like recession started last October.
Whoa.
So do you think all hell is going to break loose?
I think that the difference between, people keep asking me what's changed, Danielle. And the difference between 2023 and 2024 is 2023 were kind of these nice, polite, white collar layoffs, 6 to 9 months of severance. If you worked at Google and made $300,000, you were getting 60% of your salary for 9 months. And it wasn't really like some kind of a financial disaster in your life, right? 2024, it's like, hey, this chain of retail stores is liquidating. They're going to close all of them. You're going to get 60 to 90 days of severance if you're lucky, right? There have been furniture manufacturers, a lot of the companies that have been affected by all the demand that was pulled forward when people bought homes. There have been companies that have just, hey, it's Thursday, don't come to work on Friday, and we're not giving you your paycheck.
Damn.
And they're being sued, for not providing notice of firing people. But the difference between 2023 and 2024 is speed. And everything is happening right now really fast. We've had about 100,000 layoffs announced every single month in months that's not supposed to. January is supposed to be your big seasonal spike. We're going to fire everybody, clean house, and then we'll have a great rest of the year because we're going to, right size the business model. And then came February, March, April, May, June, July, and you're like, what is going on with these layoffs that are not stopping? And again, I think the difference is CEOs and CFOs across the spectrum. This is not just Silicon Valley got fat. This is United States of America in recession. Everybody's getting fired across all industries, and it's happening really fast. And until the shareholders are happy, the CEOs and the CFOs, they're not going to stop firing people. And that's exactly what we're seeing in the current earnings season. Hey, Salesforce just reported with more layoffs.
Damn.
Hey, Spotify just reported with more layoffs.
Damn.
And that's exactly what we're seeing. Until the shareholders are happy, that's the mantra for 2024. Until my shareholders are happy, until I've cut enough costs and fired enough people.
Cliff, man, what's your thoughts on that one, bro?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say what is causing the unemployment? What do you think it is? What would be causing these companies to stop hiring and start firing people?
Well, the cost to produce the goods and services has gone up, and the consumers, their savings and their income is not gone down; it's plateaued. The savings is going down, and so therefore they're tightening their belt at the house, and they're having to pay more for groceries themselves. So the cost of living has gone up because all the producers did was just pass their costs on to consumers, and the consumers, their income is plateaued, savings is down. So you can have a kind of an uneven conundrum there itself. And what's happening is you have a lot of consumers saying, I can cut that out, that out, that out, and that out, so I can just eat. And what's happening is that's affecting the bottom line for a lot of employers and Fortune 1000 companies. Therefore, you have Salesforce. You have other companies actually laying off a lot of people. I think it was Warner Brothers actually reported a $9.1 billion loss. $9.1 billion loss. Warner Brothers. And this is, and again, Warner Brothers is in almost everything entertainment. And they have a loss. So that's what's going on. That's the reason why I'm saying is when it comes to this influx of people, money come off the sidelines itself for real estate, where is the money going to come from? Because people are having trouble just surviving right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's that's the whole the thing to focus on too is how do you spur the economy to where you just get more volume? And like you said, if it's customer driven, if the customers are broke,
Yes.
so how you put more money in the customer's pocket to start? It's going to have to somewhere. We're going to have to get the economy rolling. We're going to have to. What's going to happen is we have to get increased jobs, increased wages, and that's going to drive it.
I think that people online, like you and us, you and I, when it comes to trying to start a side hustle, is the key because right now the 9 to 5 may not be paying the bills. So you need a side hustle that you can turn into an enterprise. People like you and I, my partner, Rich Before 50. That's a good guy. He's one of the best I've seen when it comes to credit. Yoda Knows is another guy on Instagram when it comes to credit and being able to raise capital. A monster when it comes to wealth management, being able to get your finances right. Deontay Blade Ford is another guy you want to look at. Brandon Anthony Clark as well as another guy. Matt Sapala is another good friend of mine, which is good. Brian Adamson. These guys, I call them the unknown entrepreneurs, the unknown guys that can teach you how to manage your current bag. You and I can teach them how to get the bag with other individuals. Then you have Rich and Yoda can teach them how to raise the capital to increase the assets that get in the bag. And then you go to someone like a Deontay Ford, teach how to wealth manage the bag as you go, right? So you have a combination of people teaching you how to not only survive but to thrive in this changing market. Would you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the more people you got on your team, you know what I mean, on your squad, the more opportunities you got to see something you ain't seeing.
Yeah, the days of solopreneurs is over. If that's the case, Cliff and I are going to crush you because we have a team around us. I don't mean that in a way that's going to make you feel bad. And to be honest with you, I don't care about your feelings at all. It's called strategy. I can go farther with a team than I can go by myself. So those that find out the best way to assist others to be successful, you yourself will be successful. This is what I call the real estate counter move, guys. Business is a team sport. There's a reason why we have myself, James, Cliff, other guys, Stephen Brights, other guys that are on the squad, Tiffany Franklin, somebody else was on our squad. Why? Because of the fact that it is a team sport. And we have teams in other states, one teams in Mississippi, Florida, Oklahoma, Texas. We have teams in other places, right? Playtime is over. The solopreneur is going to get crushed. Going to get crushed. Would you agree, Cliff, or you disagree?
I mean, yeah, I think it's you're gonna get more out of it if you have a team, just because it's being able to outsource and just you don't have to end up having to do everything. So you got to figure out what kind of strategy you got, how you can build the best team around it to make it work. You know, at the end of the day, it's about trying to get profits.
I got you. And I would say the creative financing deals are going to become more popular because people are not going to be able to afford their homes, and they may not be able to sell the house at all. So someone that can actually solve that problem via creative financing is going to get wealthy immensely. And in 2025, guess what else is coming to the forefront? Well, commercial real estate. We're talking about apartment complexes and office buildings as well as warehouse buildings. Why is that? Because a lot of these office buildings as well as apartment complexes have interest only loans with the maturity date. The maturity date is in 2025. To give you an example, guys, a friend of mine used to work for JP Morgan Chase. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. Do you know how much JP Morgan Chase actually had on their balance sheet per quarter they were actually funding? On just commercial paper alone, $4 billion a quarter. That is probably doubled now. It's probably 8 to 10 billion a quarter. Those loans are coming due in 2025. Those that are ready with the right team, guys, are going to be sitting pretty. Cliff, you agree or disagree, brother?
Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, it always comes down to the strategy that you're taking, what makes the most sense, what's happening in the market, and just taking advantage of it.
Exactly, guys. Again, joint venture investing is the key, guys. It is the key. If you can form a good team that can plug in your weak spots, guys, man, you become more bankable, more lendable with a JV scenario, man. So, man, it says, Steve says, I'm joining y'all's team. Hey, come on in, brother. Matter of fact, guys, shameless plug, guys. But again, this is the reason why we actually have the Cash Flow Club, guys. It's real simple. You get the training that you actually need. We'll introduce you to people like Deontay Blade Ford, Rich Before 50, right? The Yoda Knows, guys that are already, Tiffany Franklin, guys that are already in our network when it comes to accounting, raising capital, wealth management, protection of capital, right? Things of that nature. So you can maximize your bottom line, maximize your profits by decreasing your tax liability. It's not hard, guys, if you actually have a strategy, Cliff. You agree, man? You disagree?
Yeah, once you have the strategy, you understand what you're trying to achieve. It's much easier, much easier. You got to have the direction.
Direction, guys. Again, to get training, guys, for real estate, access to monthly meetings, guys, on a monthly basis in the Cash Flow Club, bro. And we kind of revamped it a little bit as well to where it's more user friendly, right? And you can learn what's going on for $99. That's nothing. If you can't afford $99, you got to change what you're doing. It's simple. It's simple. It's not hard. And also, Cliff, let me ask you a question, man. if someone needs assistance in drafting a scope of work, can you help them out with that?
Scope of work, yeah, that's a pretty straightforward process.
And someone needs to determine what the as-is value and ARV value for an apartment complex or SFR. Can you help them out with that, Cliff?
Yeah.
So okay. When it comes to financing, Cliff, don't be kind of fun deals too that actually make sense.
Yeah, if it makes sense, yeah, we'll take a look at it, review, and see what's going on.
That simple, guy. I'm trying to figure out where can you get training, right? Wisdom on how to structure, vet, and purchase a transaction and the money to buy it. Tell me the program, and I sign up for it. We do it. It's real simple. It's not hard, guys. Not hard. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. No problem with it. We'll still be here, right? We'll still be here, but we're going to continue to get the bag, whether you like it or not. Cliff, man, you want to say anything, man, before we get off, Doc?
Nah, man, it's the same thing every time, man. You only one deal away. Hit us up, join the Cash Flow Club, man. We'll help you out. We'll take you through the process.
Simple, guys. And if you're on Instagram, guys, go to the link in my bio. Any other platform, scan on the QR code, or you can scroll down to the description portion and click on the link. It's right there, guys. And look at it. Let us know what you think, guys. But, man, that's all I have for today, man. Guys, you know how we end it every single time, baby. Before you leave and while you can, you see. Oh, hold on, Cliff. Wait a minute. Before we get off, man. Y'all, Monday was my birthday. I turned 45. I'm 45.
Yeah,
years,
happy birthday, Dale. Yeah, good boy.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
round
man.
of applause right
45. Yeah, man. So, man, thank y'all. I got a whole bunch of love on saying happy birthday to me, man. Thank y'all so much, man, on what we're doing, guys. God bless you guys. But hey, before we leave, while you can, you see that thing, baby. Take that damn picture and give it to your mama and them. How's your party? God, see y'all next week, guys. All right, y'all. Peace.